Travis is thinking about buying his first investment property. This is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. And it's almost like an apartment complex here, but it's a condo complex. So these are all individually owned condos. Again, it's 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It looks like it's all original and needs a decent amount of work, but nothing crazy.
We've seen a lot worse.
Yeah. And so the plan is you're going to try to flip it, right?
Yeah, that's the first plan.
And so we're going to see kind of about how much it needs to fix it, and then see if he's already negotiated the price fairly low, but maybe see if he can get it a little bit lower. And so plan A would be to come in, fix it up, get it on the market for sale. And then if it doesn't sell, at least make sure it makes sense as a rental property. The only thing that we talked about that you got to be aware of is because it is a condo complex. There's an HOA dues,
and they're very high for here. It's like $345 a month.
$345 a month,
yeah.
And so that's because I'm sure it went up after like the tornado because they had to come in and fix up. It looks like it's got newer siding on the exterior. I bet it's got newer roofs, and so it's like they jacked the HOA fees up to deal with that. But as a rental, if you end up having to keep it for a rental, that eats into the HOA dues can eat into the cash flow. Boy, it's a decent size. 2-bedroom, single level, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's gonna be like cheap. And so,
yeah, I've been underneath it too. I mean, there's a few areas. There's like 2 joists under the bathrooms. They're gonna need to be, but it's nothing. It's
major. Pretty big down there.
Yeah.
One thing I saw, it looks like the HVAC's very old.
And it's all wrapped, so I couldn't get the date on it and when it was last serviced.
Probably.
So that's questionable.
Yeah,
that would all factor into it.
And then other than that, it's got this particle board floors, which I hate. But if you're flipping it, I'd probably just patch or repair what's damaged. There's probably solid plywood underneath it.
There is. Yeah.
And then the kitchen, like it's like small and crowded.
I'd probably just try to dress this up. I'd put new countertops, new sink, and needs a new stove for sure. I can't even get back there to look at the water heater.
But like these cabinets, dude, the cabinets are in relatively good shape. They're hardwood, and so you could paint them and then put just like nicer hardware on them. Like it would look really good. This isn't like super opened up, but it's opened up enough. Yeah, like it's a nice layout for a rental. Just the HOA dues is what. If it weren't for that, I would say just keep it as a rental.
All this stuff in here and the crawl space is packed to the brim as well. So
that you'd have to get rid of it.
So they're saying they're going to clear out a majority of this stuff, but
they won't.
We've done this before, and they're not going to take hardly anything.
My assumption is, you're going to end up with two large dumpsters just to clean it out, so you don't have that money in there.
And this would be a little bit different, Travis, for you than like a normal investor, because you can do all the work yourself, right?
Yeah, I would do a majority of it. I'd probably do 75-80% of it, depending on how much time I had. But yeah, it'd be a good one for me to.
But that's also where the value is, because if we tried to do this, obviously through our construction company, we have all the license and insurance and the overhead and everything like that. Like our rehab would cost twice as much as what it'll probably cost for Travis to do it, so he can create that extra value by doing a lot of the rehab yourself.
And I can do it on my own time around all my other jobs.
So you like extra paint or, you know what I mean, stuff like that. Like,
it's really not that bad. The ones you've had me work on before.
Yeah. I would scrape the ceilings. I'd texture the walls and the ceilings, paint everything, and then like new floors. And honestly, like to save money, you may just LVP the like living room, kitchen. And then put carpet in the bedrooms. You know what I mean?
So that'd matter if I was going to sell it. But, I'd probably rather do LVP throughout in case it doesn't sell and I had to rent it out, because then they're just going to be thrashed.
The subfloor are probably going to have to come out in this bathroom. It's pretty bad.
And I keep the tub in here, redo the tile for this hallway bathroom. This toilet is very close to this tub. I might have to move this over if I go to sell it, because this isn't to code anymore.
I wouldn't, as long as you're not pulling permits, I wouldn't fuck with it.
But so I'll keep the tub in here, and then in this back one, I'll probably just do a standalone shower. I'll probably remove the tub in this one and do a standalone shower.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
But yeah, it's easy, man. Lipstick. I like it.
Well, the problem is this one's not that bad a shape, dude.
Yeah, I know.
You could almost leave that as is.
Like
it's a low tub.
Like this in here, like that's coming from the bathroom right there?
Probably, yeah.
At some point, yeah. So there's water damage going through both sheets of subfloor, the particle board and the plywood. A small area in this one, probably right where that stain is, and a majority of the subfloor in that front bathroom.
And then the deck needs a little bit, not a ton of work, but a little bit of work. It's not that big.
It's easy. But it could be a good one. We'll see.
In my opinion, the condo's probably worth about $100,000
Yeah.
fixed up.
Mm.
And so
That's where I'm at too.
I think you need to sit down and actually run the numbers on it. But if I were just to guess off the top of my head, I think 35, maybe 40 to renovate it. So you just kind of work backwards from there. And so how much were you thinking about offering?
I think 38 would probably get it done. Originally, what we kind of decided on was 45. He was initially asking 65 for it, and I said, yeah, that's not going to work. But it's also been a few months, and the market's kind of changed a little bit, and we got a war going on, a little uncertainty. So I think I could probably.
I'd offer 30.
Yeah.
See what he says.
Well, they can always come back.
Yeah. Well, and then try to get up there to like that 30. It's not unreasonable. If it needs 40,000 to work, that's gonna, because by the time you sell it, it's still gonna be pretty tight. But I think the next step would be to run a full budget on it and see where you come at in the budget.
I don't want to do this not to be making a decent profit on it for my time.
It's not worth the risk. If you can't make at least, I think if you can't make at least 20% on it, it's not worth the risk. And preferably 30 would be a good margin.
It's like let's say you buy it and you're 80 grand deep. Like, what could it rent for?
About $1,000, I think. Maybe a little bit over $1,000 a month would be my guess.
Cover debt service and the use of.
Well, the problem is, so that if it was just debt service and the regular taxes, insurance, it would be a great deal. But once you factor in that $300 HOA fee, it would be like barely break even. And so that's why with these condos, you just got to be really careful that it makes sense. But again, if you're a first-time home buyer and your budget's $120 and you want to live in West Little Rock, if you could get a nicely remodeled condo, like that might be a great starting point.
Well, in the worst case scenario too is I could always hold it for, at least a year until things kind of turn around a little bit. And
we were just on the way over here. We were having a conversation with it's a listing that I have that's vacant and it's not selling. And so that's exactly what I told her. It was like, let's just rent it out, kick the can down the road for a year, and then when the tenant moves out, try selling it again if the sales market's better.
Flex.
I don't know. Look.
I did look. There's plenty of room in there. Come on. You know how many houses you have me under?
It's a water pump.
Yeah, but so the water comes off the main into that pump to feed. That's a new one for me. So
my guess is the pressure was too low, and so they had to install a water pump. One thing you should ask,
because they got all these lines running to all of them.
One thing you should ask is if this unit has its own water meter or if it's shared with the building.
Yeah.
So like, does the HOA dues cover water? Do you have to pay water individually? I know it's got its own electric meter, but it looks like it's got 2 water lines. And it almost looks like there's another one back there. I don't know if I want to crawl all the way back there. But yeah, I think the heat on this is original, dude. So I'd budget for a new full HVAC system. It's all electrical with a heat pump.
You got a bunch of water that's running in under the foundation over there because they got their downspouts pointed directly at the foundation.
So there's as a real estate investor, you do have to be careful of HOA dues. There's been a lot of situations recently in places like Florida or Arizona where it's like the HOA dues like this, say they were $350 a month, they've been like that forever, and then they decide to do all this capital expenditure work on the exterior of the building, and those HOAs, like, you have zero control as an owner of what they're going to turn into. It's just dictated on what those costs are. So they do all this work, and then they jump the HOA fees out to $350 a month, to $1350 a month, and there's literally nothing you can do. And so if it's a rental, it's barely cash flowing, your HOA fees double or go up substantially, they could totally ruin the whole deal. So it doesn't make it a bad deal. You just need to be aware of the fact that you don't have any control over the